Hey everybody, Kevin P. McAuliffe here from ProEditingAtHome.com, and you might think that this is a bit of a strange way to start a tutorial. As you can see, I'm in Apple's LiveType, and I have the word biohazard on the screen, and you can see that I have an effect that establishes it onto the screen. Now, this tutorial is not actually about LiveType specifically. This is a tutorial to show off an awesome new plugin for Digital Juice's Juicer that will let you take fonts from Digital Juice Fonts directly from the juicer, import them into LiveType or Motion, and work with them almost instantaneously. We're talking about literally a 2-minute process here. What in most cases to do an effect like this could very well have taken you an hour or two. So let me show you how this works and what this plugin is designed to do. So I'm going to Command Tab first to the Digital Juice website. Now, everyone has seen the Digital Juice website, and most of you should have by now gone to the Juicer section to download the Juicer. But if you come to the Juicer now, take a look at what you have. You now have 2 extra plugins down here at the bottom, one called LiveConvert and one called PowerScale. Both these new plugins work with the Juicer and Digital Juice fonts. Now for this tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at LiveConvert and how that works. So I'm just going to click on the tab here. Now to follow along with this tutorial, you're going to need a few things. First, you're going to need a copy of the Juicer, and the most recent version of the Juicer as of this recording is version 3.54a. Now you can head over to the Juicer section of the Digital Juice website and download it. It's absolutely free for both Mac and for Windows. The second thing that you're going to need is a copy of the LiveConvert plugin for the Juicer. The third thing that you're going to need is one of the Digital Juice fonts package. It doesn't matter which one, the first one or the second one, either one will work just fine. And finally, you're going to need a copy of Apple's LiveType to follow along with the tutorial that I'm doing. Okay, so let's see how awesome this plugin is. So I'm going to Command Tab back to the Juicer. And now that we're in the Juicer, I'm going to point out something that I don't normally point out in my tutorials because it never really comes up, but how to actually go about installing a plugin or something into the Juicer. To install something is actually very simple. With the LiveConvert plugin, it's a download from Digital Juice. So once you have it on your desktop, all you have to do is simply navigate to File, navigate to Plugins, and navigate to Install a new plugin. Once you select that, it will ask you where the plugin is. You simply select it from the desktop, enter your email address and your serial number, it'll initialize it, and you're all set to go. And to be perfectly honest, once it's installed, you're really not even going to know it's there unless you actually need to use it. So let's see how you would use it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to Digital Juice Fonts. And I'm just going to pick a font here because it doesn't matter which one. I'm going to pick Car Chrome because it happened to be the first one that I saw. And I'm going to come to Standard Digital Juice Fonts. And let's pick one that we can add an effect to. Let's pick Forest Fire. Now in most cases what I would have done at this point was I would have taken Forest Fire and I would have dragged it over into Batch Panel to go in and to manipulate it. But we're not going to do that this time. So I'm just going to right click and say Remove Items. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to come over to Forest Fire and I'm going to right click and I'm going to come down to plugins, and you can see that I have a plugin here called LiveConvert. So I'm going to select LiveConvert and immediately the LiveConvert window comes up. So I'm going to say Next. And the first thing that it wants to know is what font size do I want to export from the Juicer. Now, because I normally do most of my work in HD, I'm going to pick 1000 pixels, good for HD. If you only ever work in standard def, you can just leave it set to 500, but I'm going to leave mine set to 1000. If I wanted to, I could even come in and pick a custom pixel size, but I'll go with what they recommend. We'll say 1000 pixels, good for HD. The next thing that I have to choose is what glyphs do I want to export from the Juicer. Now, basically what a glyph is it's your icons here or your letters. So as you can see, I can do the LiveType standard glyph set, which you can see down here is essentially all my capital letters, my lowercase letters, my numbers, almost everything that I have on the keyboard, plus accents if you happen to be doing French work or Spanish work as well. What I want to do though is I want to export all supported glyphs. Now if you watch down here what happens when I select it, watch. You can see that it's added a whole bunch more icons down there, as well as copyright symbols, registered trademark symbols, and stuff like that. Or if I only wanted to use upper and lowercase, or just upper, or just lower, or just special characters, I could just say preset selection and just pick the one that I want. But I'm going to go with all supported. Basically now, I'm ready to take my font and export it. So I come down to Export. The name of the font will still be Forest Fire, and I'm going to leave it that because it's the easiest way to keep track of all your fonts, because once you see how great this plugin is, you're going to want to jump in and start exporting all your fonts, and you're going to want to be able to keep track of them somehow. And I'm going to take it, and I'm just going to place it onto my desktop, and I'll just create a new folder called And I'll say create, and I'll pick that folder, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to say export now. Now, depending on your selection as far as what glyphs you want to export, this process might be relatively quick, or it might take a little while. Like I said, because I'm exporting everything, this would probably take about 2 minutes to export. So we're going to come back after the break and we're going to pick this up where we left off. Okay, so as you can see, we're done. And if I wanted to see the guide to actually going through this whole process, I could simply come down to the word guide and click on it, and it would open the guide for me in a PDF format. But since I'm doing this tutorial for you, I don't need to see that. So I'm just going to say okay, and I'm going to show you what has actually happened here. So I'm just going to hide the juicer. We're going to hide everything back to the desktop here, and I'm going to come to the DJF folder that I created, and you can see now inside there is a file folder called Forest Fire. I'm going to right click on it and just say get info. So that was about 83.5 megabytes, maybe a little bit more, 86 megabytes. So you can roughly from there figure out how much hard drive space you're going to need to export all the fonts that you're going to want to export. But what it's done is inside here, you can see now that if I come up here on the Mac and I hit the space bar, I can now see all of the different icons that were exported. Now, I'm just going to hit the space bar again. And you can see that I have it for all the letters for everything that was exported. And I have one text file. And you're going to see where that text file comes into play in just a second. So I'm going to close this folder. And now I'm going to Command Tab to LiveType. And you can see I'm in LiveType, and I still have the brush steel font that I had right from the beginning. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up to File, and I'm going to come down to Font Maker. And it's going to ask me where the font is that I want to compile. So I know it's in DJF, and I know it's in Forest Fire. I'm going to come down to the bottom now. And I'm going to select that text file, and I'm going to say open. It's going to ask me where do I want to install the live font Forest Fire, and of course I want to keep it in that Digital Juice folder here. And I'm going to say okay. It imports the font that I exported from the juicer. And as you can see, it's now ready to use. So I can come in here and type in Digital Juice Fonts Rock. I can now grab it and make it as long as I want to make it. We'll just make it 5 seconds here. And now with it selected, all I have to do is double click on Forest Fire, and there we go. It's all ready to use. If I want to apply an effect to this, I can simply come over to Effects. Let's just choose Baffle. I'll double click on it. We'll set our out point here to be about here. We need to make sure it will always default to be 1 frame, because as you see, if I come back to my live fonts, the duration of the live font is 1 frame. So we always have to make sure that we just drag this right the way down. We'll just stick it back to 5 seconds here. Okay, that's good. Come back to the beginning. Press the space bar to play it. It will go through and preview the effect. And once it's done previewing the effect, it'll play it back for me. Now the funny thing about this whole process is that the export from the juicer and the preview inside LiveType actually take longer than this whole process does. You can see how quick and simple it is to take these fonts, export them from the juicer, bring them into LiveType, and start working with them immediately. And let's take a look at this in real time right about now. Look at that. Awesome. And like I said, you saw how quick and easy it was to get the font out of the juicer and bring it into LiveType, and it looks great. And putting effects on it now is very simple. And if I really didn't like this font, I was like, oh, well, I don't know. I think I really like the brush steel font instead. I'll just double click on that, and I can preview it again. And you can see that it's ready to go. Like I'd said before, I could export all of my fonts, have access to all of them in my Live Fonts window here, and have them ready to use at the click of a button. So I know you're probably chomping at the bit to see more about LiveConvert and how it works and how you would use these fonts in real-world situations. Well, Eric Hartman has a tutorial coming up very shortly that's going to show you just how to do that. So if you're a Digital Juice Fonts user and you use either Final Cut Studio, Final Cut Studio 2, or even Final Cut Express, this is a plugin that you absolutely have to have. It's going to exponentially speed up your workflow. And right now it's being sold for an introductory offer of only $69.95. It's regularly $139.95. So if you're even thinking about purchasing this plugin, now is the time to buy it. And to purchase it, you can simply head over to the Juicer section of the Digital Juice website and click on LiveConvert under Plugins. So if you have any questions, comments, or tutorial requests, post them on the Digital Juice forums. This has been Kevin P. McCullough from ProEditingAtHome.com. Thanks a lot for watching.